Okay, so welcome to another live stream. Now, since the last live streams I've been doing, I've been trying to catch up with all of the geopolitical moves for all four provinces. Now, what I found is that the liches and what their agenda is and how they react to the people of these provinces coming into this undead infested territory and trying to loot. So before I get to that, I'm currently on. Where are we? Moonlight Eagle's moves. Now, Moonlight Eagle is a master runner in the town of Bialystok. Now, what I've got on the screen is a bit of confused squiggles unless I explain it. So first things first, that's Bialystok there, and what we've got is Moonlight Eagle, who is one of the... What I'll do is I might just pull the... Okay, here we are. Alright, so what we've got is Moonlight Eagle's company. Now, Moonlight Eagle's just one person living in Bialystok. They're a master runner. Not that gives them any special privileges or anything, but they put a group of four together, a group of four, groups of five. So that making up a company, a geopolitical sized party. So they're normally in charge of the group. There are other individuals. There's another master, but as Moonlight Eagle put it together, Moonlight Eagle is going to be the sponsor and leader of this expedition. So, Company 1. So what I've decided is that that their objective is to hire a longboat and to take the longboat all the way around to the Kralan River, the mouth of the Kralan River, then head southeast, crossing the Bialystok Garwolin consecrated track before sweeping west, blah, blah, blah. Now, how that looks on the map, well, I'll just move this off to the side for a moment. How this looks on the province map is this, that they're going to start at Bialystok. They're then going to take a boat. Now, the border of the province is here. Now, the mandate that the Vlini Peace Accords mandate does not permit them to land on any of this territory that's outside of the province. So they must remain within the province, except when it comes to, for example, to get around the outskirts of the province is another matter. Just quickly, I'm going to pull up that map. Where are we? Alright, I believe it's this one. So this is the province of Brattahlíð. Now, province of Brattahlíð is down here. Now, we don't have the names of the places that are in here, but that there, Bialystok, is also this here, this location here. So they're going to go outside the province border and across to the mouth of this river here. Okay, so in the scheme of things, that's where they are in this regional map. So they'll go outside the province boundary, but this is, well, it's trade water. There's trade all the way from up here through here. So these waters are used, but they're not populated. So the trading ships and things like this, you can hire a boat to take you to different places. And in this case, just to start with, they decided to go from here outside and around to here. Okay, so that's permitted because the intention is to go back into a place that's part of this province. Now, I'll just jump out of that map and I'll go over to here. I'm going to put the XY coordinates back on, and as you can see, it's outside the province border. Okay, so the border of the province is here. Okay, but there's not much we can do about it. They're gonna, in order to make land, they can make land here. They can travel along the border. It's kind of like a grey area when it comes to moving outside the border. But because the nature of this particular province being bordered, this is going to be permitted. I'm going to allow this to be permitted to happen. So the intention is that they're going to go around to here, then they're going to make this big sweeping motion back to Kralena. Then they're going to go down along the western border and then up to Apollo. Then they're going to go across the Kansva, and then they're going to do all these loopy. They're just wanting to do some exploration. So anyway, that's what they intend to do. So now I'm going to click off that, and I'm going to click onto this. So this is what they achieved. So they got to here, then they went along the coastline, then they struck down. Now the way I'm recording all this information, look, there's lots of different ways I could record it, but what I'm doing is I'm recording in Microsoft Word for the moment. So anyway, they've got what they're intending to do. There's the strategic goals. Then there's the map of what strategic goals are being put in place. This is what all the 4 different geopolitical groups that are going to be active at this part, this first move, the first month of the campaign. So they've got some standing orders, mainly to do with the boat, staying in the boat and things like this, fighting withdrawal to the boat. But they're only going to have the boat as far as they get to the mouth of the river, then they're going to be on foot. So they're intending to return to the town, so that means returning back to Bialystok at the end of each day. That's their intention. And lodging on the boat when practical in the field. So, and here we go. We've got some other results there. So, critically injured to be returned to the town immediately with expenses paid. Blah blah. So they've got a few standing orders going there. So just to explain, we've got a couple of different XY coordinates. So when it comes to the geopolitical moves on the geopolitical board, what I'm going to be referring to is the XY coordinates of the board compared to the XY coordinates of the actual map. So to try to explain that, I'm just going to go back to this and explain. So this entire board, the XY of this particular board, includes every single pixel on this board. Now down in the, I'm not sure if you can see it, down in the bottom of paint.net, you can see an XY coordinate that changes. Now I'm not sure if you can see that or not. I'm going to try and, no, it's not letting me do it. So I'm not sure if I can actually make that bigger. I might actually try to find that out, find out if I can take that and make that counter bigger so that you can tell XY a lot easier. Anyway, the main thing is that when it came to the original mapping, just the entire within the province, I created an XY coordinates going from 0 to pretty much to 5500. you know, 5500X, 5500Y. So that was in the original formatting when I created the maps. When I've been creating the maps, I've been creating them in that scale. Now, moving to the future, I'm trying to work out whether or not I should remain using that format when it comes to creation, or whether I should stick with this board, with this size board, with this scale. So if I am going to stick with this, then the XY coordinates that are generated by me moving around are only for this board size. If I was to work in the original map that I created for this area, then the XY would be this XY. So it may be that I need to modify things a little bit. The XY for these locations, when they're being explored and when I'm referring to them, documenting them during the geopolitical moves, I'm using the XY coordinates that are generated from the board map, if that makes sense. So I may as well just accept it that the coordinates are going to have to be based on the board map. Yeah. Anyway, the thing is that it's just an X and XY. It's not perfect, but it's workable. Anyway, so in the actual Word doc that I've got, what I've decided to do is have movement encounter 1. So when I say movement, just by moving a certain distance, it's an arbitrary distance from my perspective, like doing this as a live stream. I'm not counting the number of pixels that I move and such. I'll go back to here and just show you that it is possible for me to do something like that. So say, for example, taking this location right here. Now I could select just a red, for example. We'll create a new layer just for the purposes of this. It's a 20 point, and I'm going to select a line tool, and now I'm going to pull that down. Now the palette, I think you can see the palette down the bottom. My face is in the way. Okay, so I'm just going to undo that. Okay, now I'm going to move the palette up slightly. You can't really see the palette. I'll just move the palette. You can see the palette's hiding behind my face. But anyway, I'm going back to the line tool. Now I'm going to create a line, and I'm going to go due south. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but it shows that the length of this line is 200 pixels. Now, with each pixel being 10 foot, that's 2,000 feet of movement by pulling it down that far. So I have been kind of estimating how long moves are. It doesn't matter what angle you pull it down to. The other thing is that with the squiggly line is that you can do things like that, and that will tell you the entire length of it in terms of the number of pixels. And so when it comes to plotting a move, it is possible to plot and work out where you're going to have to pull an encounter card. Anyway, well, this is not really what I was going to do on this live stream. Anyway, so back to it. So the first thing is that I'm going to try and put the just going to try and put this up at the same time. Okay, so what we've got is a list of movements and XY coordinates and things like that. Now, I'm not sure if you can see down in the... Oh, well, now you can see it. What I've got here to the side is a Excel, just a very basic Excel. Now, I'm going to, before I F9, which I'm going to do, I just want to show you. So, I have the movement encounter card here, reference number for that. Then I've got a series of alphanumeric here in a list. Now, just before starting this live stream, I F9'd it, and those were the results. Now I'm just going to skip forward down to here, and you will see that I've copied this list here into the Word document here. So those are all same as those for the moment. Now I'm going to F9 this to show you how it works. So, for example, I hit F9 right now, and you can see that the serial number's changed, and you can see I'll hit it again and again and again, and you can see that the movement encounter card is changing, and you can see that the alphanumeric is changing as well. So that's why that's there. Anyway, so just going through the moves, and I'll show you where I've got to and why I started this. So they made landfall here. Again, I'm going to remove the XY just for the sakes of this video. So they made landfall after leaving Bialystok here, travelling outside the border of the province, and then now this line is going over land masses, but forget about that. This is just what their intention was to do to get to this location here. They then set out on foot and went along the coastline. Now I'm going to take away the line from it, and you can see the territory that's revealed beneath. And at this point here, if you can see the counter down the bottom there, it was 5064 by 2965, which is right there where my cursor is currently there. Now, unopposed movement, so move on to the next one. So they continued, and then they crossed the border, and I think that's when I decided to do encounter number 2. When I say movement encounter number 2, that was the second draw, and that is 5139 by 3045. Yeah, so they just crossed the border, and I did the second one. Anyway, so moving forward, you get what I mean. I'm just recording as I go, and I'm periodically hitting that F9 to draw another card. Now we get down to the crossroads. So this crossroads is the Bialystok Garwolin consecrated track. So they've crossed that, and they've continued on in a roughly southeasterly direction. So that's when we got to, that was movement 4, movement encounter 4. So what they got was that was a roving undead slow advance, draw again. So that's what they got as they drew that card at this location. Now the second drawing is roving undead, halt advance, fighting withdrawal optional. Now, yeah, they're not out looking for a fight, so they decided to withdraw. So they withdrew back to the crossing, and then they've decided to go south and then continue along. Now I'll just pull up the original line of advance that this is their strategy, which was to do this sweeping curve, and then because of this decision to pull back, they've decided to cut in a little bit and then continue. All right, so when it comes to people submitting their geopolitical moves, what I'm looking for is just lines. Okay, I just want lines. I want to know what they're bringing to the party in terms of modifiers. So that should be available on their adventuring party card. So I'll be able to calculate it as a rough. Then there'll be additional things, like if there's a geopolitical sponsor who is bringing, let's say, 3-4 items from their armory, geopolitical armory, and allocating those to the group, then I need to know what those modifiers are, what they, if they're consumable, whether they're one-use things like that. And so when it comes to me processing, I should be able to process away without too much trouble. It should just be a matter of hitting the F9 on the calculator to see if there's a movement encounter card to need to be drawn. If there's an encounter, then I'd compare the difficulty of the encounter with the combined modifiers of the base modifier, plus any other modifiers that go with it. So anyway, back to what is going on. So anyway, they pulled back, then they continued on. Now there was another unopposed movement, another unopposed movement, and another unopposed movement, until they got to this location here. Now I'm just going to switch that off so you can see that they've revealed some terrain. It's a bit of a mixture of terrain types, but nothing that's going to slow them down hugely. Then they've encountered this river here. Now what they know is that on the Bialystok Garwolin consecrated track, that there is a river and there is a bridge across the river. Now this is not a huge distance from here to here, so let's just, for example, create another layer, and then let's just draw a line from here to here. So that's 460 pixels. So that is 4,600 feet. All right, so that's how far it is cross country from there to there. So I'll just delete that layer again. Anyway, so they get to this location here, and what I've done is I've drawn, and it's drawn a card. We've got an encounter card. So then I've gone over to encounters. Okay, so looking at the black over encounters. Now the what we got here. So this is the coordinates, which is that river where they cross the river. Then we've got Q24. So Q24. Oops. Let's undo that. Q24 is this square here. Okay. So what I've done is I've created this grid, an alphanumeric grid. I've got the alphanumeric generator in the Excel document there. I go into the black over encounters. So I go to black over encounters, then I would delete the black that's over the top of the encounter, revealing the encounter beneath. So what I've revealed is the following. So what I've revealed is a loot, poison, ingredient, blindness, herbal patch. So this is pretty cool. So yeah, we've found this. Card. Now, a lot of this comes back to my interpretation of the story and how it's going to progress and such. So the way that I'm looking at it is that this is a commodity. This is ingredients that can be sold at auction. It's worth collecting. So it takes time to collect it and such, but it's well worth the time and effort. Now, on the card in the board game, there'd be the collection of these ingredients in a 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be you'd draw it, you'd then have the difficulty, then you'd put it back into the deck. So you'd get the result, put it back in the deck. Get the result, put it back in the deck. So that's how I've created these cards. Now, what I've done is I've used a little bit of creative license. So what we've got here in the group is we have, as I said, we've got Moonlight Eagle being the leader of the expedition. We've also got another master Magnesium Otter. Now, they're from different places. Not that they're all from the same province, but they're from different towns, villages, hamlets, and farms. So they don't necessarily know each other that well. But anyway, they're willing to join Moonlight Eagle and as a group. And Moonlight Eagle is in charge. Anyway, so we've got Artisan Herbalist Magnesium Snake, who is part of the group. Now, what I've said is that Artisan Herbalist Magnesium Snake identifies the herbal patch as being important blindness ingredients, but cautions Moonlight Eagle against harvesting them. However, Apprentice Herbalist Midnight Cobra insists on collecting the herbs to make up for the company's lack of finding other loot, and Moonlight Eagle agrees. So, let's say that they start harvesting. Now, the bit of creative license is that in a card game system, and this being around the board, so that it can be played out live face-to-face, but due to COVID, you can't do that. So what I'm doing is processing these moves in a live stream to make up for the absence of having the face-to-face contact. So the show must go on, and that the campaign progresses regardless of what I prefer, and what I've put together is a live system. But to make do the best I can with what we've got is to do the live stream. Anyway, so they start harvesting. Now the difficulty of 4 versus the base of 20, because there's 20 individuals, and each of them's got a modifier, so +4, +4, +4, +2. Okay, so what that gives us is 34 is the base plus modifiers at 34. So that's 34 versus 4, so that's 30. So let's just say they harvest that really quickly because of the huge difference. Okay. However, the second one is 35. So Moonlight Eagle's company begin harvesting, and difficulty of 4 is evenly overmatched. However, it's only after prolonged exposure that the 34 to 35 results in 1 failure card. Okay, so again, I hit the F9 and came up with Bravo 26, and then I've gone into the failures. I've gone into failures. Now, I have been cutting them out, so I can't show you, but you can kind of see that, anyway, it doesn't matter. You'll have to trust me. The fact is that I've got black over the top of the failures layer. I then cut the black, or delete the black out. Then I cut the result out, and I've been pasting the result in to the Word document. So that's what we've got here. So, Company Gamma Party, 5th Adventurer receives a minor wound. So, I'm using the Greek phonetic alphabet for the 4 different adventuring parties. So, Company Gamma is the 3rd in the list. So, 1, 2, 3. Stuffed up. Right. Alright, well that's something that I didn't think about. Okay, let's just say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Okay. I mean, if they were one after the other, it'd be a bit better. But anyway, that's how I'll consider it. So we've got... so you'll notice down the bottom, I'm going to change it. I've actually listed it as Apprentice Alchemist Burgundy B who was affected. But this is Apprentice Hunter Wicked Leopard. Okay, so Wicked Leopard. Alright. Oops. Wrong one. Alright, Apprentice Hunter Wicked Leopard. I'll just check to make sure. Yeah, Apprentice Hunter Wicked Leopard is struck blind by the herbal patch, panics and runs north into the river to wash out their eyes. Okay, so that's how I've interpreted it. But hits their head on a rock as they slip. Oh, all right. Anyway, so that's where the minor wound came in. All right, so the blindness, it's an effect. It's not a wound that takes hit points away, but it certainly messed up Wicked Leopard. So anyway, I've said reluctantly gathering the herbs that they had collected, Moonlight Eagle orders the company to follow Burgundy B upriver and away from the danger, hoping they'll find the Bialystok Garwallen consecrated track. Okay, so as I showed before with the mapping, that's quite reasonable to expect that they're going to follow the river, upriver, they'll find the bridge, and then they'll find their way back to safety. However, they've moved further into the herbal patch and now face a 34 versus 49, resulting in 15 failure cards. So this is where I left off, and I thought this would be interesting to show as a live stream. So to show the processing of this. Okay, so I'm just going to move the Word document off site again, and then we're going to go through and start processing these failures. So the first one in the list was K2. So I'm going to zoom in on K2. Alright, K2. Then I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to go back to black over failures, make sure that's the right layer. Again, double checking, it's best to be sure. So I'm going to delete that. Okay. So we've got near miss. Company makes a withdrawal back to the start of... I'm going to cut that. Alright, so I'm just going to go to failures, cut that out. I'm going to go over here and paste that. Result. Now I'm doing this off camera. Alright, doing this off camera. Anyways, company makes a final withdrawal back to the start of the day's move. Now, I'm going to rule that that's not going to happen. Okay, Midnight Eagle still determined to make it back to that bridge, or make it upriver to that bridge. So ignoring that result. Okay, so H23. I'll just move this across, and you can see I've pasted the result. Now we're going to H23. Okay, so H23. Alright, H23 is that one. So that's H, and then 23. Black over failures. Delete that, and I'm going to zoom in on it. Alright, we've got a critical wound. Okay, so I'm going to cut that result. I'm going to paste that result. Okay, so Alpha Party Second Adventurer. Okay, so Alpha Party Second Adventurer is a master swimmer named Patient J. Alright, so Patient J is, so that means, okay, so master swimmer Patient J. Now, as for why we've got the formatting all messed up, I'm not entirely sure, but it's going to be a pain in the neck. So what I'm going to do is, and I've just tried inserting. Anyway, so that's Master Swimmer Patient J. Alright, so how do they become critically wounded? So, okay, let's just say that they dive into the river and manage to reach. So that is Wicked Leopard. Alright, so Wicked Leopard. Before they drown, but Wicked in their panic fights off Patient J, resulting in a critical injury. Alright. Now, how how that happened, let's not speculate too much. We're just going to write the story and see how it goes. Anyway, now we're on to F2. So F2, zooming out, zooming in, black over failures, check to see that I've got the right one. I'm on the right layer, black over failures. Okay, another minor wound. Alright, so look, just for convenience sake, I'm just going to cut. Alright, I'm going to cut and I'm going to paste. Alright, so that's F2, now B24. Okay, going to B24. And again, black over, delete, cut. No, not sure what happened there, but cut. And then paste. Alright, surrounded. Now, surrounded, draw another card or make a fighting withdrawal to the start of the move. Now, at this point, making a fighting withdrawal may result in, well, now there's two in the river, one of them's blind, and we've got someone who's critically injured. So, and we still have to process the remainder of the cards. So, some of the cards, it may be that I need to tweak them. A lot of it's open to interpretation. So, the way that I've got in mind is you draw a card and you have to process the cards and accept the results. But once you receive a certain result that maybe entitles you to a fighting withdrawal, then you can get out. Now, look, the other thing that I didn't sort of mention before starting this live stream was that one of the reasons why things got complicated and I kind of decided that I'd do it was that where are we? All right. Just going to extrapolate a little bit. So they've tried to go north. Okay, they've tried to go north. Still, right. I'm not sure if that's where I got to. But this is what... So I've already gone through many of the result cards, and what we've got here is an undead infested farm. Now I'm just revealing the entire crossbones, blah blah. May as well, because they're going to be stuck here for a little while. So the intention was that they would be here with some casualties, and they'll have to resolve those things to extract themselves. So the geopolitical's not safe. It's not just a walk in the park and hold out your hand and get and receive rewards and things like this. It does have some complexity to it, and I was never intending that I'd have to process these things in a live stream. My intention was that this would all be done as a card system live, in order to drive the back end of the game, so that there'd be story that would occur with or without live adventurers doing live roleplay, so that the world would continue on and the stories would continue on regardless of whether there be activity or not. So that was my intention. So look, this card, what I'm doing right now is a mock-up. It's not clean. I'm jumping around to different things. I'm jumping to Excel to get the results. Now, yes, I could just have the decks of cards sitting beside me and just draw them, but I'm also wanting to show that I'm trying to remain as impartial as possible. I did try to play around with having the card layer and just randomly selecting a card instead of using an alphanumeric. All those things. So there's lots of different ways I could do it, and I don't want to be doing this as a live stream. I want this to be face to face. So anyway, I just wanted to show where I'm at, and I know it's a bit of a long live stream, but just to give you an idea of how I'm progressing with the moves, and I'll come up with the results, the first month worth of results in future videos. I'll also, all right, let me see. Just to give you an overview of the other ones. No, I can do that. So, yep, sorry, I said that it would be I was going to end it, but I may as well continue to show off where we're at. So this is Barony 5. This is the Barony of Stockark. So the Barony of Stockark, I'll just save off that. So save and exit from it. I'm going to do the same with the cards that I'm processing. So I'll take them out of the equation as well. And then I'll go to Stockark. So the other thing I need to keep in mind, which I'm now bringing up and mentioning, is that when I close things off, I need to close them off with the black layer over the top of everything. So when I open up this file, hopefully I have remembered to do that. And yes, I have. Right, so I'm just going to expand that so that it covers a bit more of the screen. So the geopolitical strategies of... Alright, so the geopolitical strategies are the following. So this is what they intended to do, and in this particular case I actually put the name of the leader of the geopolitical group into the file. So we've got Wild B wanting to go along the coastline into all these different nooks and crannies and around to the town of Bella. Then we had Brown Parrot wasn't going to do too much that was going to be a strain, but to leave the town of Devlin and go cross country directly to Bella and then due south. Now, where are we? Then we had Elusive Cheetah, who was going to go up through Muck Kumpal and then do a circuit and then go up to Matishchi and then go along the coast, do another circuit and get out to Lezek. Then we had Midnight Hawk. Midnight Hawk was going to go to Mat Kumpal and then follow along a river. No, not a river. Sorry, along the consecrated track up to Renegade. Then they were going to go and do a circuit, and then they were going to go up to the coast and along. Now that's it. That was their strategy, but what happened was the following. So Wild B got out to here and revealed this territory here. Brown Parrot had a couple of encounters, push back, and then follow this here. Now, as you can see, they've revealed some territory along the way. Then we've also got Midnight Hawk going up to Renegade and then going along to the coast over here. Now, what they found is a fortification, undead infested fortification over here. What Elusive Cheetah also found an undead infested place here, and as I think I suggested that Brown Parrot were going to do this circuit, they were actually going to wait to see what other people found. So they did achieve a bit, and then they went back to Devlin, and then they heard about what Elusive Cheetah had found the day before, and so they have decided to go up to this undead infested location as well. Now, Wild Bee was intending to go along the coastline as shown in red, but at the end of day one they got to here, but then they continued on with day two, and day two they found this place here. Okay, so that's when I realised I needed to come up with and fix in stone the geopolitical agenda of the undead leaders. So the liches that are kind of in charge of they're in charge of a few things. So they are the sentient undead. Okay, so from 1,000 years before, with the War of the Gods and the mass death toll that happened due to the cataclysmic events, that some of these high-ranking individuals from the area, they didn't become mindless automatons, they became sentient as well. They don't have full power and control. They're not evil as such, but they are bound by the curse, the undead curse. So because of the death of the goddess of death during the War of the Gods, any sentient creature that is not buried with respect can rise as the skeletal remains. So all this black area throughout the map is not just fog of war where people haven't been for a while, but it's also areas where there are most likely going to be encounters with the Walking Dead. Now, the Walking Dead don't harm you as such, like by attacking you with weaponry. What happens is that they overwhelm you with numbers, and then they drag you back to the place where they died, or the place where the animation is centered around. So in this case one final thing was with this Midnight Hawk. I did show that. So Midnight Hawk discovered this. So if they encountered undead and they were overwhelmed, then the undead would be dragging them back to this location where they would die of natural causes like dehydration or malnutrition. So that's what happens if, for 1,000 years, anytime that there's an encounter with undead, that people have been taken back to these undead infestations, and they've basically been they've died, and so they've swelled the ranks of the undead in the area. So that's that for Stock Arc. So that was Stock Arc. Don't save. And then we've got Nagangship. That's also one that had geopolitical strategy that didn't get very far. So the geopolitical strategy was a bit of a messy thing like this. So Group 1 was going to go along the coastline, then go and do effectively a circuit around the perimeter of the province. 2 was going to be doing these big loopy patrols. 3 was going to do similar, and 4 was going to do these other large loops. So that's what their strategy was. And then we've got the result for Group 1. So Group 1 got to here, and I think that so they've found an undead infested place here. So there's an undead icon. Anyway, they've found that. This is on day 1, just by taking on the boat. Now, why these things haven't been explored before here? Well, whenever people have tried to do some of this stuff, well, there's no mandate for it. Now that there's been the peace treaty, the Fellini peace accords, the things are different. So now that was Group 1. Now Group 2 started off here in Malonti and travelled, had a couple of setbacks. So anywhere you can see here where the fog of war has been revealed a little bit more is where there's been effectively a geopolitical movement. So as you can see. So so what we've got here is Group 2 has made their way up, and they have found the undead infested village of Krongkep. Now, I think that I made it so that Group 4 have basically chipped in to help over here, and so has Group 3, but they may have gone to assist Group 1. So so anyway, I'm continuing on with it. I'll just explain before I go that the important thing is that the nature of the curse is about respect and the lack of respect. So the part of the curse is caught up in respect. It's caught up in the way that the dead are treated. And for 1,000 years, there hasn't been much in the way of a coordinated effort to treat the dead of these provinces with respect. Even though these people, the skeletal remains, are of their ancestors in most cases, there still hasn't been a huge effort. So, when they have been, and also these people are all individuals. They haven't really had a unified government or anything like that. They've gone about their business, but they haven't got much in the way of community spirit and unity. That they're vaguely Fellini. Some of them have allegiances to other places, but for the most part, they're just independent and haven't been able to unify. So part of the Fellini Peace Accords is giving a mandate to leadership to come in and take over and give some direction, some strategic goals and purpose, and to lead the provinces. Part of that is to find these infested towns, villages, hamlets, and farms, and to put the undead to rest, and to repopulate them and rebuild them and things like that. So it's a bit complex, but the main thing is that the liches are sentient undead who are not going to just let people come in and walk away with loot without treating their undead. They're all from the same era, and you know these liches have probably seen quite a bit. They've seen people like looting, but not taking the skeletal remains and burying them, just smash and grab kind of behaviour. So they're not going to stand for that. So my intention is that each of these groups that has formed up and has basically gone out looking for trouble, they've found it, and I'm making it so that they're bound to effectively bury the entirety of the undead infestation of that town, village, hamlet, or farm that they've found, as an oath to Hethnor. So they have no choice in the matter. They are going to fulfill that oath. Whether that means that they're going to be working every day, ongoing, constantly, whether they will be successful or fail, the nature of the curse isn't that there's going to be any assistance forthcoming from the liches. If a group is overwhelmed, if they're captured, then that's part of the deal. It's part of the curse, and so yes, it's going to be a little bit messy. I haven't even thought about the number of casualties. I haven't really given it much concern. The main thing is that playing with fire is what the locals have done by effectively going out there looking for trouble without actually having a long-term plan for what to do about the skeletal remains and things like that. So anyway, I'll leave it there with this live stream, and I might come back with a little bit more specific stuff, and maybe an overview of what the agreements have been with the liches, and see how we go. Yeah, I might just, that was that was 6, and we've also got, I've already shown 7. Alright, so this is, sorry about this. Okay, and again, lots of squiggles to show what their intentions are. So I'll cover over each of the geopoliticals, the results, showing what areas have been exposed. So people will be able to see what's been exposed. Just because it's been exposed doesn't mean that there's no chance of an encounter and things like this. The encounters with creatures and things like that will continue until populations are subdued to a reasonable level in each of the provinces. Anyway, I'll leave it there, and thanks for joining us. If you've got any other questions, you can have a look at renegadelarp.com. For more information, you can look at renegadelarp.com. And if you've got any questions you'd like to address as a message, just send me a message or give me a call, and we'll be able to discuss it.